You're probably translating stuff that doesn't need to be published. Let me show you how to stop. Hi, I'm Daphne, co-founder of VeraContent, a global content marketing agency. And today I want to talk about something I see all the time with global marketing teams. Spending money on translation where it genuinely does not need to be spent. Not knowing when or how much to rely on auto-translation or AI tools. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to figure out when to localize, what not to, and how to make all your effort count, including how to use automation tools the right way, and why a professional native language reviewer is always an essential part of the equation. So here's the thing, most teams don't actually have a translation problem, they have a prioritization problem. When budgets are tight and leadership wants to expand into new markets, the instinct is just to translate everything. Or the opposite, to cut translation entirely to save money. Both are huge mistakes. The fix isn't to do more or less, it's to be smarter about what you actually translate and how. Think of it like this, not every piece of content carries the same risk. A checkout page is not the same as a blog post about the top industry trends, and treating them like they're the same is where money gets wasted. So step 1, decide your priority markets. The first thing you need to do is figure out in which markets translation is actually going to make an impact and drive real results. We have a client that localizes marketing content into 17 languages on Instagram, but they only hire us to work with them on 5 of those markets. The others they handle in-house or using automation. That's a very deliberate call because they've done their research and know which of their markets deserves specialist support. And they've built their budget around that, and you can do the same. Step 2, tier your content. Okay, so once you know which markets matter most for your brand, the next question is, what pieces of content actually need to be translated? I recommend breaking this down into 3 tiers. Tier 1, your most important content, is anything tied directly to conversion. Your landing pages, your product descriptions, your checkout flow, your campaigns. If someone's about to hand you their credit card but they hit a friction point, a wrong tone, confusing phrase, or content that feels like it wasn't made for them, you lose the sale. This is not where you cut corners. Tier 2 is your supporting content, like your FAQs, comparison pages, your core blog articles. They're important, but a little more forgiving. Tier 3 is everything else. Long-tail blog posts, secondary resource pages, and exploratory content. It's lower stakes, so lower required investment. Here's an example of how this might play out. Say you're a sustainable home goods brand entering Mexico, Sweden, and Germany all at the same time. Here's how you might prioritize by market and content tiers. Germany might be tier 1 for you, because German consumers tend to research more thoroughly. They tend to check return policies, care about tone. So for this market, you would fully localize your product descriptions and homepage, your checkout flow, and yes, your return policy, because they tend to read them there. And then after doing your research, you might decide that Mexico is tier 2 for you because there's clear appetite in this market, but it's still early stage. So here you focus on translating your top 10 best-selling product pages, your homepage, and then one big campaign tied to a seasonal moment in Mexico. Then you revisit in 6 months when you have conversion data. And then Sweden is tier 3 because here you're just testing demand. So you localize one landing page into Swedish for your most popular product category, run some paid traffic to it, and see what happens. If the data says yes, then Sweden moves up to tier 2 in your next planning cycle. You see how that works? Every business decision is directly tied to a question or an intention. You're no longer translating blindly, but smartly. Step 3, match your workflow to the risk level. So now you know what to translate, and the last question is how. Tier 1 content, your high-stakes stuff, needs professional localization, in-market review, and transcreation when needed. A locally based linguist catches the things that a style guide won't. Cultural nuance, humor, or phrases that are technically correct but just don't sound natural in that market. And that's human judgment and it matters, so don't skip it. Tier 2 content works well with a hybrid approach. Let AI generate a first draft, then let a professional editor refine it for tone, terminology, and cultural fit. It's faster, cheaper, but still good. Tier 3 content can rely more heavily on AI, with your glossary and guidelines in place to keep everything consistent. But even here, always make sure that a professional human reviews the final output. AI alone is not enough, and that rule applies for every tier. Which brings me to something that I feel very strongly about. No matter what tool you're using, make sure that a professional native language reviewer checks the final output. Always, this is never optional. A native speaker will always catch important things that no tool can, whether it's phrasing that actually sounds natural, tone that fits the market, or making sure that the content is consistent and true to your brand voice. especially for your most important markets and most important pieces of content, this is non-negotiable. So for example, I love using Canva's Magic Translate feature to quickly adapt social media pieces into different languages without having to rebuild everything from scratch. It's a great starting point. I highly recommend it. I have a very quick tutorial that explains exactly how to use it step by step. You can find the link to the live demo in the description. But I must say that every single time I produce anything with Canva Magic Translate, I always run it by a native speaker. The feature almost never gets translations 100% right. And trust me, I've seen this firsthand time and time again. We always need to run everything by a native expert before publishing, and they always catch at least something to tweak. Whether it's the translation itself is off, the wording, or they need to tweak the design. That said, the first localized draft that Canva produces makes the review process take minutes or even just seconds, where it used to take hours. So when it comes to tools, use them. AI-powered translation tools can save you so much time and money when you use them correctly. At VeraContent, we use Phrase as our main translation management and CAT tool. One of the best features of this tool is that it learns from every decision our translators make. All of their tweaks and updates and preferences get stored in the tool's memory and are used in future translations. And that efficiency and quality compounds over time. But here's the key word: when used correctly. Whatever platform your team is using, whether that's Phrase, another TMS, or an AI translation tool, make sure they're actually trained on it. That means knowing how to feed it the right context, how to maintain your glossaries and translation memories, and how to use the automation features properly. A tool is only useful if your team is using it well. Your workflow should always include a checkpoint for 3 things. Relevancy. Does this translation make sense for this market? Consistency. Is it on brand and using the right terminology? And naturalness. Does it actually sound like something a native speaker would say? Build those check-ins, especially for Tier 1 markets and Tier 1 content. So here's a recap of everything we just covered. Stop treating all markets equally. Tier them by ROI potential and drive your budget accordingly. Stop treating all content equally. Tier it by business impact and risk. Your checkout page is not the same as a blog post. Match your workflow to the content. High-stakes content gets human experts. Low-stakes content gets AI assistance with human review. Use your tools, but use them well. Make sure your team is trained, feeding them the right context, and checking for relevancy, consistency, and naturalness in every market. And no matter what tier or piece of content you're working on, always have a native reviewer check every piece of content. That's what keeps quality high as you scale. And that's how you stop wasting money on translation. Not by doing less, but by doing it smarter. At VeraContent, we help global marketing teams build exactly this type of thoughtful localization strategy, figuring out the right markets, content, and workflows, so you can scale without losing quality and without burning through your budget. If you want to talk to us about how this could work for your team, there's a link to book a call in the description. And thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more marketing tips and insights.